Now that I've used, or now that I've been using Pop! OS for about a year now, believe it or not, that's the longest I've actually used any Linux distro. I have distro hopped for as long as I've been using Linux. So I have not, like, this is the longest I've ever used a single install. Um, and with that being said, since the time being spent, I thought to make a complete review of it, let you guys know what I've noticed, good and bad, throughout the time. So hopefully, if you're looking for a new distro to try, or if you're getting into Linux, this will offer you some guidance. Hopefully, um, before so basically the program of this video is we'll go over just some very general uh, stuff about this distro. Not necessarily good or bad, just very general stuff. Um, then we'll get into what I've noticed that are positives and negatives of this distro. Some of those comparisons are with regards to other distros that I've used, and some are not. Just some things I've noticed. Um, so take a listen, sit back, and hopefully this helps. Pop! OS is based off of follows the same versioning as Ubuntu. So just as there is Ubuntu 22.04, there is Pop! OS 22.04, which is what I'm using right now. Comes with the Cosmic Desktop by default, which is based off of GNOME. So you find a lot of similarities with them. They use the same GNOME tweak tools. A lot of the same stuff with GNOME. And lastly, their app store is the Pop Shop, which features um, Debian packages from the apt repository and Flatpak from FlatHub, which is nice. So if you, which we'll talk about later, but if you're interested in app development, it's easy to get your apps on the shop. And just so you guys are aware, this image over here shows what Populous would look like, exactly what it would look like when you first install it. So if you're wondering how does it go from that to this, good news is it's actually quite easy. Much like other Linux distros, it's just a matter of playing with settings, all through a user interface, not through a terminal. Getting some icon themes and shell themes, and that's pretty much it. But if you're just so you're aware, this is what you will look. This is what the install will look like when you first install. There you go. First off, when it comes to negatives, um, or the cons of Pop! OS, I've noticed is this gray screen that you might encounter if you do a hard reset. I've noticed this, like if something had crashed, or if I have to do a hard reset, there's a chance that when I get back, I'll have this gray screen when my computer boots up. And This seems to be something that other people have noticed, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal because just resetting again, just do another, basically a hard reset until you get back to your install. Happens very rarely, and I'm on a desktop setup, not on a laptop, but it still happens, but very rare. So if you encounter it, all you have to do is just reset again. The pop shop can be pretty quirky at times, um, and while being just like a pretty normal, you know, app store, it has some issues with one being a bit slow, two crashing kind of often, um, and three, given that it's slow, if you want to manage your apps entirely through the pop shop, it may not be the best idea. And I mean, I don't know if you were watching, as I was trying to click it like many times and it wouldn't open. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, given these, it's not the smoothest app store I've used. I just rather update and upgrade to the terminal, it's a lot faster. But yeah, that's just another one of the downsides of this OS. I mean, not it's not bad. Um, it's still like usable. It's just not as clean and smooth of experience. Another negative point is that, and this is not really a fair point, is that the community size is pretty small. Um, and it's the reason why I'm saying that is because from what I've seen, Pop OS kind of had a lot of hype behind it. So when I got into it, I expected that there would be a lot of information, and like anytime I got stuck or anything, I could find the answers online. And there was, but not nearly as much as others. Um, and again, this could be given that it's fairly new compared to Arch Linux or Ubuntu or Linux Mint. Um, but that I thought that was something to bring up for you guys if you're interested in something that has plenty of documentation to go on. Um, this is not going to be like Linux Mint or Manjaro or Fedora or Ubuntu or Arch Linux. Probably one of the biggest positive or pros points to using Pop OS is if you have NVIDIA, if you have an NVIDIA GPU, um, this would be the easiest OS that you ever install, probably. Now I know that Pop OS I think is not the only one to do this. But I mean, when I used to use Linux back in the day, this was for some, even for distros that were a little bit more well known, like Fedora, I sometimes had trouble installing proprietary drivers. Um, and in the past, I've had both AMD and later NVIDIA, and I occasionally just ran into issues. Um, but this was a game changer. Again, Pop OS is not the only one to do this. I think I've seen some other distros that have started to do this. But basically, when you go to download, um, there are two main versions. There is this version here that basically does not have any proprietary drivers. So you install the drivers yourself like normal, okay? But if you have NVIDIA, you can install this version, which has the NVIDIA proprietary drivers installed, and you don't have to worry anything about setting up proprietary drivers. Um, and my God, this is like the one of the biggest things I have seen because I remember this being a bit of a pain. And I remember like weird stuff happening, and I mean, uninstalling, reverting back to open source drivers, then trying to troubleshoot. Oh my God. So this is what makes it even easier to install in Windows. I mean, you imagine you install your OS and you already have your video drivers good to go. So in terms of setup and installation, I've had the best experience with Pop OS. Over the past year while I've had this install, um, I've primarily used Linux for home things like emails and things like that, um, software development, mostly personal projects, um, and of course gaming. And while Linux is just as great as any, and maybe even better than other operating systems for development and for home use, gaming is always like a concern for a lot of people. Um, I was thinking I'll make another video about that just so that this video doesn't get so long. Like a separate review with regards to gaming for Pop OS. But overall, I'll say when it comes to games that are ported, uh, or games that run through Proton, or Proton or other wine platforms, games run incredibly smooth. I haven't really had any major issues or anything like that. Everything I've tried runs, and there have been other distros, actually notably one of them, Manjaro, where there were a couple like Hearts of Iron, for example, that had some issues running. So when it comes to video games, I've had, you know, no like real problems when it comes to running games. Other than obviously, other than what is not ported and what is not playable through Wine. You know, so for example, games like Battlefield 2042, yes, that's not going to work on Linux as of now. Um, but yeah, so overall, for the three things that I use Linux for, or that I use the desktop for, um, Papa has just been extremely good for those. Really stable distribution. After all the experiments and weird things I've tried to do, and changes I've tried to do, it's just as stable as when I first started using it. I haven't really noticed any changes. Nothing got quirky after a year. Um, Everything runs just as nice, and honestly, like that, the this is why I actually stopped distro hopping, is because I feel like people distro hop because they, well, if they're like me, if they're like me, um, either they want the challenge, you know, or they have crashed their current install so bad that they're just like abandoning ship and going into the next ship. Um, for both cases, Pop West has satisfied me because, in terms of seeking a challenge, um, I kind of turned my attention more into app development and beautifying my desktop, if you will. Um, and Populous is great for that. I have been able to do all those things without breaking my install. Um, so for that reason, I've been able to invest a lot of time into my install, and that's one of the nice things about Linux, is that you're making it your own, really your own install. Um, Another person is gonna come see your desktop and be like, "Whoa, like this is amazing." Um, and it's a work in progress. You continue to make your install yours. And because of the amount of time I've invested into Pop OS, I don't even care about, you know, the thought about switching to another distro, because, I have everything that I want here, and I'm still trying new things. Um, so there you go. There you have it. Hopefully that was a, good holistic, review. I mean, other than the positives and negatives that I've mentioned, overall has been a great distro for me. So those were just things that I noticed throughout the year. You see what I'm saying? This is not like a um, comprehensive review of what Pop OS might bring you. It's just a review of what I've noticed, right? So hopefully it helps. And stay tuned if you want to watch the review for gaming.